right. I'm sure like I'm sure like many of you are aware of the of how like the schools, like in particular like the colleges and universities, like they're making it mandatory to get jabbed. Otherwise, like you're not going to be able to like get your education. So yeah, so there's like one university, like in particular, that where a student has been expelled over like has been expelled from campus over the job policies of the university. So I'm going to pull it up right now, an article. So this is an article from the Canadian. It says handcuffed and taken away. Student expelled in clash over university's COVID-19 job policy. In Ontario University, campus police expelled a student from class, once carried in handcuffs and again carried out by his hands and feet, in a dramatic showdown over the school's enforcement of its COVID jab mandate. Recent events at Western University in London, captured on video and shared on social media, are among the first to publicly highlight the challenge schools across the province face in upholding a policy that requires staff and students to be fully jabbed on campus. Then it says, after being repeatedly warned not to trespass on campus and being removed 3 times, Harry Wade, 22, was expelled on November 18 and told the Star, "If a university is willing to go that far to exclude to the people, then it is not an institution that I want to participate in." In a previous statement to the Star, university spokeswoman Marcia Stayard declined to comment on the videos but said the safety of our community is our top priority. While we cannot discuss individual cases due to privacy legislation, we can say that people who violate Western job policy, they can be removed from campus and face other disciplinary action. Western University student Harry Wade, 22, is forcibly removed from class twice, once handcuffed and once with hands and feet, for alleged violations of the school's COVID-19 job policy. The incidents were captured on video and shared on social media. To date, 28 students out of a total of approximately 37,000 have been placed on involuntary leave for violation of the policy. That means they are dropped from their classes and cannot enroll in courses, access their grades, or apply to graduate for 1 year. They are notified not to trespass on campus. Tuition is refunded. Well, so much for like a post-secondary education. If they're, it's like, seems like they would just like expel people like for not for not being jabbed with with like an experimental shot. So it seems like this university is going in that direction where like they'll just expel anyone really if they're not like following the the says it has dealt with an then it says the university says it has dealt with an individual regarding non-compliance requiring intervention on campus. The Western Special Police Service uniformed officers who ensure campus safety did not respond to Star's questions. All Ontario universities have mandatory job policies for in person activities, but not all have returned to in person learning. Since September, a combination of face to face, remote, and online courses has been offered at schools across the province. Western University was one of the few that opted for a near total return to in person learning, providing students with a more normal academic experience. That has put Western at the forefront of dealing with non compliance on campus, a scenario that could occur elsewhere as more colleges return to in person learning next quarter. Wade, a sophomore civil engineering student, has not been jabbed because he does not believe that COVID is a legitimate threat to the health of people his age and says there's a lot of misinformation about the jab. Everyone has the right to be unsafe. People should have the right of choice to getting the jab, he added. The university the university says students were given ample opportunity to make enrollment decisions before the October 12th deadline, which is when they were asked to upload proof of both COVID jabs unless they're granted one, medical or human rights exemption. This fall, Western says there has been no broadcast on campus, attributing it to a 99% jab rate between staff and students. He also credits the school community as a whole for adhering to safety protocols, which includes the mandatory use of masks indoors. After missing the deadline, Wade was notified on October 13 that he was not complying with university policy and was told not to enter campus, but he eventually returned 5 times as a way to protest the university's request for medical records. He was arrested for the first time on November 10 outside a school building. This was not videotaped, and he returned the next day to class to make a point. He says that some of his colleagues had told him that they agreed with his views, and he hoped they would stand up in his defense, but they did not. So this guy's like the only he's like the only person really that's standing up like for like for the students' rights, but none of his colleagues want to help him out. They just want to like leave him out to dry. And apparently, yeah, and apparently he's considered to be trespassing if he shows up on campus if he's not like jabbed. So like yeah, like I don't understand that part, like trespassing. Well, it's like a public place, so unless they're closed, and I can't see, unless like the place is closed, and I can't see why like he would be considered trespassing. And he's a student as well, so it's not like some random person showing up on campus. So and like why does the university want like people's medical records? It's none of their business. What like the medical records of the students are. That's like between them and like their doctors. So yeah, like why does the university like want people's like private and personal like information? So yeah, like medical information, all that. It's none of their business. The second explosion on November 11 was captured in a 29-second video posted on an Instagram account popular with Western students. It shows Wade unmasked sitting in the front row of a classroom when two campus officers approach him and gesture for him to stand up. Wade obeys, puts his hands behind his back, and is handcuffed. He's removed from class in a calm and orderly manner as students watch. Sitting near Morty Salehi, a sophomore who doesn't know Wade personally, was shocked but inside. But this time he didn't show up with a bag or a mask, and I asked him, "Hey, do you want a mask?" And very nervous, he said, "No, I'm not even supposed to be here." Salehi says he understands Wade's frustration and notes that he has invested money, time, and effort into the engineering program. I completely see where your frustration is. He was probably trying to make a statement. Wade returned to class on November 15th, where he was detained again. Two campus officers approached him again in the front row, but this time they did not handcuff him. At that point, I decided, do I want to be someone who leaves class or is dragged out of class? Wade chose the latter. I thought at the time that being dragged out was the last straw for the students. Do you think this is okay? Another video, about 5 seconds long, shows Wade being abducted by officers who hold him by the hands and feet. There is disdain for the mandate and politics in that classroom among other students, but they are not willing to take risks like I am, Wade said. At this point, I lost my degree and lost my access to college. Yeah, well, yeah. So that's thanks to the university like screwing him over with their job policy that frankly like it's none of their business, and like why do they like need that type of stuff? It's like they don't need to know like medical records of their students and all that. It's none of their business. And now this guy's paying the price for it for not being jabbed. So now the university like says he's trespassing and like and like what do you call those? I guess police officers or security of the university, security guards in the university. Now they've like dragged him out of class. So yeah, so that's Canada in 2021 with all these like mandates. Or like I guess if you're not jabbed, then expect to be treated like garbage. And then it's a Ziana Kotadia, Vice President of College Affairs for the College Student Council, said there's broad support for Western's job mandate and policies. He noted that students have made it clear that a job mandate is the best way to protect their campus community from the ongoing pandemic. Wade knows that failing to comply with the policy and then returning to class after being repeatedly told to stay off campus was risky. Honestly, I am quite happy with that. I want the expulsion because they believe it is a record against me, but for me it is a record against the university, which would be willing to expel a student for choosing to believe what they believe. Exactly, and that's the problem with like the education system in Canada, especially like these days, is that like the schools like from like elementary to like post secondary, like college, university, like they don't teach anything of value anymore, as they become like politicized, and they're more concerned about teaching things like gender inclusivity or gender fluidity and things like social justice, which is just like things about like race issues and all that. So yeah, like the schools, that's what they're teaching. They're not teaching anything that's like of value anymore. And now with COVID, they're like now they're forcing everyone to wear masks and get the job. Otherwise, they won't be able to get their education. So So yeah, now like the schools, well, like particularly the colleges and universities, now they're just like expelling students. They're just expelling students now if they're not like jabbed or anything. So like regardless of like whether regardless of like the program they've taken or so now like this Wade guy, like now he's like now it's like he's been like his ability to like go to college or do whatever he wants. I think he wants to become a civil engineer, something like that. Now it's like now that ability is like gone. Now he can't do that anymore because the schools they because the university they expelled him. So now he's not now he can't even like go go like go to like appear on campus. So and yeah, and he pretty much like just risked like going. Yeah, like he was told, I think, like in the beginning, like the beginning of October, I think, where like he would be trespassed if he showed up on campus if he wasn't jabbed. So he took the risk, like I guess, yeah, to protest against the university's like jab policies and all that, and I guess like he ended up paying for it by like being kicked out of the university and now being unable to pursue like whatever like career he wanted to take. So yeah, that's how to so that's what happened. And yeah, and I'm sure like that's not the only I'm sure like he's not the only person that's had this problem as as now like I'm sure like other students as well. Like yeah, actually in the article it mentions like how other students they weren't like they didn't like the job. They were against like these policies and all that, but they weren't like really doing anything to like protest or stand up against it. It was only like that Wade guy who was doing something. So and like he ended up paying the price for it by now being denied like the chance to like pursue like his career or whatever like his careers. So now yeah, so he ended up like just paying the price by choosing to believe what he believes. So and I guess the university didn't like that, so they ended up just like kicking him out of campus altogether. So yeah, so also an article says he's invested money, time, and effort into the engineering program. Well, now all that's gone because the university they decided not to they decided to expel him. So because he wouldn't like follow he wouldn't follow like their policy, which is like illegal and has like and it's like none of their concern like what his medical records are. So yeah, so that Wade guy he ended up like paying for it through like he ended up like losing his ability to like I guess pursue a career like the civil engineering career. So yeah. And I'm sure like more of this is gonna happen too. This is not like the only situation. So yeah, and then he says at this point I lost my degree and my access to college. So yeah, so his pursuit of a degree, his his pursuit of going to college or to like I guess pursue a civil engineering program. Now all that's gone, thanks to the university as they as he didn't want to like adhere to their like illegal policy of like disclosing his private and personal information. So yeah, it's just a sad day in Canada, and yeah, it just shows how like if you're someone that stands up for people's rights and all that, then you'll be shunned. So this is just an example as the schools yeah, they don't seem to care anymore about like, you know, teaching things of value, but instead they seem more interested in just pushing like political agendas and all that, which doesn't really help anyone really. As the only one benefiting is the government, as these like institutions are government funded. So like yeah, I'm sure they're probably just doing the government's bidding by pushing these job policies. So yeah, and also yeah, and I think some of them now like they won't even let you take online courses if you're not jabbed. Like well, I know Wilfrid Laurier University. Like that's one of the universities where they won't even let you take an online course if you're not jabbed. So it's like there's no logic in any of this. Seems like just do like whatever they'll just do whatever the government says, and that if it means like having to screw someone over, like in terms of like their career and all that, then it seems like the universities and colleges will do that. So yeah, that's the end of the article. Like close that now. So yeah, it's just a sad day in general, and it shows how the yeah like the education system in Canada they don't seem interested in like teaching like like stuff that actually benefits students, but now these days they just seem more interested in like pushing political agendas, which is like yeah like they just seem more interested in pushing like what the government is like yeah like the government's like agendas. So like I know right now like the government they're pushing this whole COVID stuff, like how like they want everyone to get jabbed and all that. So I guess the colleges and universities they're just doing that as well. As I guess they're terrified that they might like lose their funding or something because they're public institutions. So they're probably like terrified they might lose their funding if they don't like push these job policies. So I guess congratulations, Western University. You just screwed, just taken away like a student's ability to pursue to pursue a degree program in civil engineering. So congratulations. I'm sure like there's like more students like I'm sure that's gonna happen to more students as well. So I'm sure like he's not the only person, that Wade guy. So yeah, it's just a sad day in general, Canada. So yeah, that's everything I want to talk about, and we're signing off now.